TV. It's 9 p.m. East Coast time here in the United States, and you are watching our bumper as it runs, as we run down the checklist, and we are recording and we are streaming to YouTube as Facebook today is having problems. So, our chat room is waiting, our guest is waiting, our first time guest will start our countdown to Studio 36 Alpha starting now. Well, good evening and welcome to PJNet.TV. I'm your host, Coach Prasic, as we start a brand new week, and we are starting off on a good foot with a first-time guest who is visiting, and I'll let her tell the story here in just a minute, but Cindy Thompson is with us, and it's always great to have a first-time guest. Cindy, tell us the story, how it happened that you are right there.
How it happened that I'm right there?
Well, you just stumbled around one, browsing the internet. Next thing you know, you're up there on PJNet.TV. How'd that heck of a coincidence?
Yeah, it's nice. Thanks for having me.
And how did we cross paths, Cindy? How did you find out about us?
Well, you interviewed an author, Sandra Merville Hart, and she is on our committee of the Faith and Fellowship Book Festival. And she said this would be a great program to come on and talk about our festival and let more folks know about it.
Well, that was very, very kind of her to think of us and speak highly of us. And we think highly of her. And we are anxious to hear about the book festival. But before we do, let's talk about you. Tell us, how did you become acquainted with Christ as the center of your heart, and how does that impact you today?
Well, I was raised in a church, a mother who felt strongly that her kids needed to go to Sunday school every Sunday, and so I was raised in the church, but I met a lot of influential leaders as I was growing up that really let me know that I needed to look for God's plan and his path for my life. And that led to a lot of different things. And books is one of the ways that I can speak to people about what I've learned and the path that I'm on.
Well, as I look behind you, I get the impression that books are a significant part of your life.
Yes, I love to read. I love books, and there's just so much to learn from other people's experiences, other people's point of view. But history is my main interest, and so I love historical fiction, reading about history, and I don't have enough bookcases. I need to add to it.
So have you been a writer all of your life? Is that your profession, or did you have a day job getting started?
No, I was a teacher, preschool and kindergarten. Everybody thought I would end up writing kids' books, which I haven't. I've written some short stories for kids, but write mostly adult fiction and some nonfiction. I got started with that really later, when my kids were a little bit older, and it was something that had always been in the back of my mind. And the teaching, I taught at private Christian schools, and that was kind of going away. They weren't getting enough students. And I thought, I've always had this curiosity about writing. And so I just started pursuing it then and just kept at it.
And how long ago was that when you got the itch to write?
It was around the year 2000. It's a kind of an easy year to remember. So okay. It was around about that time. My kids were like junior high or something. If they were younger, it would be more difficult to get started. It would have been for me.
So you get this idea, I'm gonna be a writer. What'd you do? Google how to become an author, or how did you get introduced to that writing world?
I went to writers' conferences and I met other writers, and I just soaked it all in and learned as much as I could, and wrote some pretty not very good things that I wouldn't want published because it wasn't very professional in the beginning, but I had a lot to learn, and I just kept at it and had some mentors in the Christian writing field, and just really learned a lot that way.
Tell us about some of the mentors and how they influenced you.
Um, Gosh, one of the writers that I met in person at a conference was Lynn Austin, who also used to be a teacher and felt that pull to write. And she said when she no longer felt the passion that she needed to teach, she just felt like God put put the call in her heart to write, and I just really related to that. And she writes historical fiction, and when the first book that I had published with Tyndale came out, one of the reviewers said that readers of Lynn Austin would like these books, and so I was just she had been a mentor to me, so I was just blown away by that, kind of full circle.
Any others?
Bless you. Oh gosh, too many really to name. Just there were a lot of published authors at that time. Tricia Goyer, and I had some writers that helped critique my work along the way, and Les Stobie, who's been in the Christian writing field for decades. And the Christian Writers Guild, Jerry Jenkins Christian Writers Guild, I worked at as a mentor for a while. I started out with mentoring kids and then mentored adults, and you learn a lot when you're a teacher. You learn as much as what you're teaching.
So if you had it to do over again, any changes you'd make?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. You don't know what you don't know, and if I could avoid some of the mistakes that I made along the way, I might be a little farther along. But it's a process, and there's a purpose to it, and it's all right. I embrace those mistakes as learning opportunities.
I call it paying tuition.
Yeah.
And it's okay to pay tuition. You just need to learn something from it, hopefully. And now I'm about to put a address up on the screen, and we're going to talk about the book festival. But I want to mention the website is ffbookfestival.com, because I'm about to put a graphic up here, and when I do, it's going to cover up that address. So I wanted to get it up on the screen. Tell us about the book festival. Is the Faith and Fellowship Book Festival, but give us the history on how this all got started.
Okay, well, it got started because I had been to some festivals or mainstream festivals and met a woman named Yolanda Tonette Sanders, who's a great author, and we had tables set up next to each other more than once, and so we kind of got to know each other. And we were at a festival in Cincinnati in 2016, in October of 2016, and I was again seated next to her, but there was a gentleman on the other side of her that wrote political thrillers, and he's also in a political party. I won't mention which one, but he was the head of a political party. And so people were coming up to his table talking about the election, and Yolanda is not interested in that at all. And so she turned kind of away from him and started talking to me. And we started talking about this idea of a book festival for Christian books, not just these were mainstream festivals that we were at. There are all kinds of genres represented. There were Christian authors there too, but we thought, why not have a book festival like this to promote Christian books and Christian authors, and to connect readers with Christian authors that they might not have heard of otherwise. And so we decided, we didn't know how to do it, and we decided to learn together, and it's been quite a learning process. Our first festival was in 2017. We did 3 festivals in person near where we live in Central Ohio. And then we decided we would do something that nobody was really doing at the time, and have an online festival instead of in person. And that was before anybody heard of a pandemic.
You were doing online before online was the thing.
Yeah, I have to tell people we didn't go online because of the pandemic. We were going to do it anyway. And that opened us up to a bigger audience, people that, weren't would not have come to Ohio to a festival. So that's what we've done. We did last year. We're doing it again this year. We're really excited about it. It's coming up in a month, and it's free for people to attend. They can find a link to register at that address that you
fbookfestival.com, which stands for Faith and Fellowship. Now, we're fortunate to have so many authors and writers, here on pjnet.tv. And like yourself, they all include writing conferences as part of their journey, especially in the beginning. But this is not a writer's conference, is it?
No. Writers may find something that they like. They can learn something from it, but it's for readers, and it's to connect the authors with readers to read their book. And so it's a festival in that it's a fun time. It's time when you can interact with the authors. Even online, we're doing that through Zoom, and it's a lot of fun. It could be for writers, but it's not strictly a writers' conference.
Now, you've got this scheduled over a 3-day period of time, November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And you have found some, keynoters for each of the 3 days. Tosca Lee kicks it off on Wednesday.
Yes. We're really excited to have her. She writes some amazing novels. If people haven't read her, they really need to check her out. New York Times bestselling author. And she'll be talking to us, and we'll have an opportunity at the end with people want to ask questions in the chat. So it is live. It's not recorded. So you'll be seeing these speakers as it happens, like we do here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then Joy is Thursday.
Yeah. And Joy's going to speak to, I don't have the topics to tell you exactly what they're going to talk about, but I'm sure they're going to be sharing about their journey and their process of writing and the things kind of that they learned. She writes some fiction too, romance. I think readers will really be interested to hear from her.
And tell us about your Friday keynoter, Cynthia.
Yeah, Cynthia Ricci. She's an amazing speaker. If you haven't heard her before, she just has such a heart for God, and it comes through in her books. She writes a variety of books. She writes some fiction, some nonfiction. She's also a literary agent, so she has a lot of experience in this industry and a lot to share.
Okay, now this is over 3 days. These are your keynoters, but it also says and many more authors. So tell us the mechanics or the format. How does the keynoter kind of kick things off to get the conversation started, and then what happens after that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. The keynote speaker will start first, and then after that we'll have 2 panels, and they're genre panels. So we'll have like all our romance authors and a moderator who will ask questions to each of them. They'll all get a chance to talk about their work. And then the people who attend can ask questions of each of them or any of them that are on that panel. We'll have a nonfiction panel, and we'll have one for historical fiction and mystery and children's, and we have some children's and some YA authors too. So it's an opportunity to interact with authors that you might not get otherwise, a bunch of them at once. We have this year 30, let me look at my notes, 33 authors that are coming besides these three keynoters. So
Wow.
That's the largest number that we've had since we've started the festival. So we've got a great variety. I think people will really find some great books.
Well, you mentioned that this is no cost. You can just go and take part. How do you afford to do that?
Well, the authors will have their books available for sale. We'll have a little bookstore
Okay.
where people can buy them. We are a nonprofit, so we take donations, but we also we get a little bit of money from authors registering. It's not a lot, but we also support a book award every year.
Okay.
So people are contributing
Right.
to that, and we announce the winners of this book award at the end of the festival. So that's also a great time right before Christmas to find out what are the best books that you can buy for people on your list.
Now, you mentioned on here that this is going on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What time does it start, and how long does it last? And how much time should someone devote if they're going to take this in?
It's 6 to 8:30 each night. There's a possibility that we may be expanding one night a little bit because we have so many authors this year that we want people to have a chance to hear from. But if we do, it'll just be like an extra half hour. So it is Eastern time, and we do stress that because we have had some confusion in the past about that. So it's 6 to 8:30 Eastern time.
I feel your pain. Yep, get it. We're in the same time zone as it turns out, but I always establish that early in the conversation. And that website again is FF. That's Foxtrot Bookfestival.com. I'll leave that address up there. Quickly, we've only got a couple minutes left, but I see behind me there is this book cover. It must have been inspired by the Boston Celtics, but for some reason, folks, it's the Boston Celtics, but the word is Celtic Wanderings. This is your book, fiction, nonfiction, devotional. What is it?
It's a 40-day devotional, nonfiction. I've written a lot of fiction set in ancient Ireland, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th century. We're talking St. Patrick bringing Christianity to Ireland. So I've done a lot of study about that and inspired. I've always believed that we can best find our path on our Christian journey by following people from the past and what they've done. And we all know that because we do that by reading the Bible. But there are other Christian influences out there that we can learn from. And so that's what this is. It's a devotional that you can read. It's not long, at your leisure, but it's inspired by history and those who've gone before us.
So have you ever visited?
Yes, I've been a couple times. I'm going again in 2023, which I'm really excited about. This is a book tour that people can go with me to see the sites that that are in my books. So yeah, it's a very inspiring place.
I'm going to put your website up here, cindyswriting.com. What do people find there? Is there any, I think you blog a little bit. I saw all kinds of stuff. Tell us what people find there.
Yeah, more about my books. Also a little bit about my genealogy research. I do some of that for people. I do some short critiques for other writers. But you can learn more about the books, and I try to blog as frequently as I can on there. And it's a contact where you can find, my Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of thing.
Well, Cindy, what an amazing journey. Now, you are, we would be rude almost if we didn't mention that you are not doing this book festival alone. You're the co-founder. And tell us a little bit about Yolanda, because we're going to have to wrap it up.
Yeah, Yolanda and I did this, put it together, and we've added to our committee. Like I said, that Sandra is now on our committee. We've got a couple other committee members. It's definitely a team effort, and we support each other along the way, and we don't get anything from it. We don't take a salary or anything like that. We just have on our hearts to join together these readers and authors.
Cindy, I'm very impressed, and I appreciate your initiative. It's refreshing to know that somebody like yourself and your partner Yolanda are investing so much, not only time but talent, in furthering and enhancing the experience and honing the skills of your fellow peer writers through this book festival. And we wish you the very best of luck. And we just appreciate you, sharing your journey with us, and give your partner in crime, Yolanda, our regards, that she will prosper as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I will do that.
All right. Folks, that was Cindy Thompson here on pjnet.tv. By the way, you are looking at the Eagle's Nest, the broadcast facilities here at pjnet.tv. Folks, it's not over. In fact, at the bottom of the hour, it's Monday, and Casper Stockham will be visiting all the way from the great state of Colorado, and he has sent me his talking points. He usually has 3, but tonight he has 4. So don't touch that dial. We'll see you at the bottom of the hour. Hey, before I leave, I challenge you to ask yourself 2 very simple yet profound questions that have helped me in my walk with Christ, and maybe they'll help you. The first question is, what is the boldest thing that you have ever done for Jesus Christ? And second, how long ago was that? Let's not be satisfied with either answer.